the woman who posed as Joan of Arc and duped everyone, including King Charles VII of France, the story of Claude des Armoises. Joan of Arc is adored and venerated in France. There are statues of her throughout the country, especially in places like Paris, Rouen, Orléans, and Reims. After Bishop Pierre Cauchon declared her guilty, she was burned at the stake on May 30, 1431, dying at about 19 years of age. Following Joan of Arc's execution, several young women came forward claiming to be the Maid, including Claude des Armoises. Claude is said to have begun her career in deception by posing as a male soldier in Pope Eugene IV's army, where she killed 2 men in fighting around 1435 during a rebellion in Rome. The next year, she started laying the groundwork for her Joan of Arc scheme. In May 1436, she met Joan's brothers, Pierre and Jean, and convinced them that she was their departed sister, or at least, got them to publicly agree to the idea. Claude is said to have strongly resembled Joan, and it's possible the men were blinded enough by grief to think that Claude was really their kin. Contemporary sources note that Claude looked remarkably like Joan, so it is possible that the brothers believed her. However, as Anatole France, a 19th-century French writer, put it, they believed, because they wished to believe. Another scenario is less wholesome. The brothers went along with Claude because all 3 of them thought they could make some money from the scheme. Like Joan, Claude wore her hair short, in a Min style. She spoke almost exclusively in Christian parables, which enabled her to cloud certain facts and contributed to her mystery. Over the next 6 years, the brothers and their sister traveled from town to town, beginning at Orléans, receiving lavish gifts from Joan's many admirers, among them, Princess Elizabeth of Luxembourg, 1390–1451, and Elizabeth von Görlitz, widow of Prince Anton of Burgundy. Comte de Wernberg was said to have fallen in love with Claude, as Joan. He even made her the head of a military unit he sent to Cologne to provide support for Ulrich von Manderscheid, a candidate for the bishopric of Trier. But in Cologne, things turned sour. There was a young woman, who from time to time took on the behavior of a male, and who was running around armed and with wildly flowing clothes, as soldiers in the pay of a nobleman do. What's worse, she also let herself be seen dancing with men. And she used to drink and to carouse. Quoted by Dominican friar Johannes Nider, it didn't help that Claude sometimes performed minor feats of magic. Another inquisitor, Heinrich Kalteisen, also took notice of Claude. The inquisitor responded by excommunicating her, for witchcraft, wearing men's clothes, and supporting the wrong candidate for the bishopric. But Claude, or Joan, was relatively safe in France, at least for the time being. She married a knight, Robert des Armoises, and is said to have borne him 2 sons. A lavish dinner in honor of the actual Joan's good deeds for the city of Orléans, Claude left in a hurry, having met Jean Lelier, who had made the real Joan of Arc's clothing in 1429. Possibly the false maid fled from a misgiving as to an encounter with her tailor, who of all men would have been able to detect an imposture. Then Jean made the mistake of meeting with Charles VII of France in Paris. Unable to tell him the secret Joan had told him, which proved to Charles that Joan had been sent by God to defeat the English, Jean confessed to the subterfuge, and begged the king's forgiveness. About 15 years later, in July 1456, a few years after the 100 Years' War finally ended, a retrial declared the real Joan of Arc innocent and annulled her sentence. She would be made a saint in 1920, and remains the only person in history to be both condemned and canonized by the Catholic Church.